Hi everyone, welcome to the Aries New Moon video, mid-April 2021. It's April the 12th as I am recording this for you. Welcome to those who have returned. Welcome to those who maybe are finding this the very first video of Between the Realms. I appreciate each and every one of you, regardless of beginning with this, continuing with this, and I so appreciate that you would click the like little symbol below the video, maybe subscribe to the channel, share it with friends. All of this helps to raise the visibility on YouTube and for it to reach more people. A year and more ago now, January of 2020, I began this venture of making videos. They became almost weekly ones when the depths of the pandemic set in upon us all in March, April, and May of last year. Here we are in April of 2021, and it is springtime in my neck of the woods, likely the same for just about all of you as well. It is a time of new beginnings, and it is partly that because of the new moon, the Aries new moon, which, depending on where you are in the world, it's actually today, April the 12th, or it might have happened to you. It just depends where that dateline falls on the 11th or the 12th. But the Aries new moon is, because Aries begins the zodiac year, it is truly the beginning of this astrological wheel of the year. Quite powerful new moons are a good time to plant some intentions and to make new beginnings. Here we are in spring, and this is all the more enhanced. One thing to another and back again and all of that. The other thing, and I'm going to speak about this in my blog post that you will find on my website, Golden Spiral Journey, goldenspiraljourney.com. I'll put a link down below for you to see that. That we are beginning to emerge from the depths of the pandemic, as certainly as I see it, as I think a lot of people feel that this is true. And so as we emerge into spring, our vaccination rate multiplying. 2 weeks ago this very day, I got my second vaccine, and I am delighted that 2 days from now, which will be my birthday, I will be joining my daughter and her family and celebrating not just my birthday, but what feels like a COVID coming out party. There is a ways to go. There's probably a long ways to go, but the light is growing for all of us. The sense of hopefulness, the sense of possibilities moving forward. Did I mention that it's National Poetry Month? This might be then repeating that I've said that. Sometimes, of course, if I keep a track through some notes, I kind of know where I am, but sometimes I do repeat myself. But National Poetry Month, it all comes together in this, and I'll be writing a blog post, as I just mentioned to you, that you'll find on my website about the sense of new beginnings. So I've not quite ever done a blog right in tandem really with a video, so that's kind of a first for me as well. I want to point out to you that keeping us company here today are these beautiful daffodils. Our winter lasted so very long that the snow, in a way, is not even all that far long gone. So things are just really emerging. And on a walk I took yesterday, there's a place up above me, walking up Richardson Hill, where there was a home at one point. The home is gone, but around what would have been it's around the home, I think it was probably a mobile home, someone had planted here and there all through what is now a woodsy place, daffodils. And there were so many, I decided that I could bring a few down and enjoy them here. There's some in my yard as well, but not in the numbers that I just kind of like to see them out there growing. So here these beauties are with their golden trumpets and a robin, which was in my last video, so it's come back once again. A little birdhouse there to indicate the birds are beginning to find their way into their mating and nesting season. It's an exciting re-emergence. And a birthday card, thank you, Renee, with all of the lovely symbols of spring and the Chalicewell garden and the flowing of water. So that is what we have here. So what I'm going to do to bring these various themes together of the new moon, this beautiful pendant created by a lovely gentleman, friend of mine, represented in serpentine stone, this crescent moon. And you'll hear about the moon in at least one of the 3 poems I'm going to share with you. So before I go into those, a little drink, the better to give you a clear reading. And so we have a poem by John O'Donohue, a poem by Mary Oliver, and I am a writer mostly in narrative or blog or nonfiction, but I on occasion have had a poem find me and want to be written. So I'm going to share one of those poems with you today. Written some time ago in the spring of that year. So with all of that said, National Poetry Month, so many wonderful, I want to share, before I forget to do so, I'm going to just bring this out. It's the bookmark in my Mary Oliver book. Caitlin Matthews is the woman who, these are her words. All societies and, I'll start again. All societies need their gifted ones, their artists and mystics. Without them, the land becomes weary and disenchanted. Now, I'm not going to say I am a mystic, although occasionally I might be, but I do consider myself an artist of the word, so I will take that for that part anyway and go on with that. John O'Donohue, a wonderful Irish mystic, writer, poet, no longer here on the earth plane, but a wealth of poetry and philosophical writings. This is a book of his poetry. You might enjoy finding your way to it, Benedictus. There is his name, John O'Donohue. And I debated between 2 poems, but in keeping with the sense of new beginning as we are coming into the second spring of the pandemic with the growing of the light and the opening to a time of rebalancing, renewed health, all of that is beginning to present itself, and the things that we're doing to refashion the world as we would want to see it refashioned. I'm reading a poem of his called A Morning Offering. I bless the night that nourished my heart to set the ghosts of longing free into the flow and figure of dream that went to harvest from the dark bread for the hunger no one sees. All that is eternal in me welcomes the wonder of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter in all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. What a year we've come through, what dreams were deferred, what challenging times we've lived through, more than the pandemic. Things that startled us, things that disheartened us, things that discouraged us, and yet to rise above them now, to bring together that which we considered, took into our hearts, in the quiet that we had, by being with our own thoughts, by being away from the busyness of our lives that preceded the pandemic. I'm going to read once more that final stanza. May I have the courage today to live the life I would love, that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. The world is awaiting for us to know what it is and pursue what it is we came here for, and waste our hearts on fear no more. This poem was written in March of 1998, an early morning when I rose to do my Tai Chi in the very first light of day. So that's the setting and the inspiration that came to me about that spring morning. The title of my poem is Trees Rise. Trees Rise. Stars tangle in the night-black branches of the soft maple, rising impossibly high against the mellow night's light-pricked ebony velvet. Orion, leaping ahead of the winter-born Sagittarius, is now caught by early dark. In January's bejeweled and frozen skies, the chase lasted until midnight. I sail off upon this star current, trusting its familiar passage, following night-flighted birds heading homeward, the wheel lumbering us all along with its gentle rounding rhythm. So we see the night through, birds alight to sleep. I rise, summoned by quiet, yet such insistent urgings. Trees rise from the mist-riddled bottomlands, which resound and echo with the calls of birds exulting in the growing light and warmth. The earth slowly spinning her way into spring. We trust to growth, to life reinventing itself, to the oozing leaf mold muck, yielding its verdant promises, sap rising. I gather handfuls of dawn light spilling through the living room windows, stirring and drawing up these hidden energy currents, hooking into this shifting vital force, tidal vibrance, as subtle, as constant as the waxing and waning of the moon, and as reliable, despite the illusion of its silver crescent, to make us think the whole of its celestial body has been consumed by a nameless darkness. And if you're a star watcher at all, I think you get the mention of Orion being pursued by Sagittarius. And in the winter, Orion rises at dusk, at dark, And it went here, and I'm gesturing because it's rising over the woods, which is directly in front of me here. And there it goes, sailing over, like striding across the sky. But with the shifting of the seasons in the spring, this time of year, it's already risen by early dusk. And so that reference, not that you needed to have known that, to hopefully to have enjoyed it. And thank you so much for that. And I want to thank you, in case I forget again, to do so. Mary Oliver's poems, oh, there's so many I could have chosen. And I want to direct you to, if you are new to this channel or aren't too familiar with my YouTube channel, there is a playlist devoted to Mary Oliver. We are now in the 3rd year without her. And 2 summers ago now, where does the time go? I recorded a poem every Monday, shorter than what these are, out and about. My next video perhaps will be outdoors. It will be for Earth Day in a week or so. So hopefully it'll be warm enough today. It's a little on the chilly side. So we're sitting in here with the daffodils and all of this. So those Mary Oliver poems, and one of them, of course, well, you wouldn't know, I'm saying it to myself. One of them is this one about spring. And I know it by heart, but when I'm doing something like this, I don't want to mess up a line. It's just so very beautiful, a poem called Spring. And with that, we'll conclude this video this time around. And this is really happening, by the way, the little narrative of this. Not very far from here, there is a black bear, more than one, that will be making its way down the mountain. So Mary Oliver, let me have you tell the story. Spring. Somewhere, a black bear has just risen from sleep and is staring down the mountain. All night, in the brisk and shallow restlessness of early spring, I think of her. Her 4 black fists flicking the gravel, her tongue like a red fire touching the grass, the cold water. There is only one question: how to love this world. I think of her rising like a black and leafy ledge to sharpen her claws against the silence of the trees. Whatever else my life is, with its poems and its music and its glass cities, it is also this dazzling darkness coming down the mountain, breathing and tasting. All day I think of her. Her white teeth, her wordlessness, her perfect love. The dazzling darkness coming down the mountain, the year of the pandemic into its 2nd spring, the light arising. Allow your dream to present itself in this time of the new moon. Allow it to emerge. What have you come here for? We need those gifts now. May you make your way forward into the growing light of this year and bring us your dream. Bring us your gifts. Thank you so very much from Lightspring Glen. All the best to you in your journey through spring. There will be an Earth Day video at some point in the next little while coming up on that in another week or so. Take very good care. Love from Lightspring Glen.